Hey, Dr. John Finn here. Welcome to the Habit Mechanic podcast. Right now, you can get my new best-selling book, Train Your Brain for the AI Revolution, at tougherminds.co.uk. The digital book, audiobook, and physical book are all available at a special price that you won't find anywhere else.
This is the third in a series of 4 short podcasts looking ahead to the Tougher Minds Improve Exam Success event. It takes place on Thursday, the 21st of April at the UCL Institute of Education in central London. And it's an event for anybody and everybody facing the challenge of exams, for professionals in the world of work facing qualifications and professional tests, for parents looking to support their children with their revision and their learning in the home, for school pupils of all ages and at any stage of education facing perhaps 11 plus exams, entrance exams, GCSEs or A-levels, and for university students who are facing course exams and perhaps even their finals. The Improve Exam Success is priced at £49 per person, and you can secure your tickets on the Tougher Minds website, tougherminds.co.uk, and there's also a special offer for schools, a 10% discount for schools coming as a group, plus a free teacher ticket. Well, in the previous 2 podcasts, we've discussed various aspects about why exams are challenging and exactly what can be done to meet that challenge. And in this podcast, we're going to talk more about what exactly will be taught and shown at the Improve Exam Success event on April the 21st. The session will be divided into 4 areas: the big picture, preparing your brain to learn, the learning process, and the exam process. And we started this podcast by speaking to Tougher Minds founder and managing director John Finn, and we asked him, is it really the case that the techniques he's going to show are suitable for anybody and everybody?
Yes, I think we've come to the understanding that overcoming a challenge, pretty much any challenge in life, can be met with a certain set of skills, a certain framework. And overcoming the pressures and difficulties that come with preparing for an exam and performing an exam can also be met with a shared set of understanding. So again, whether it's your 11 plus exam or your law exam or whatever professional adult exam that you might have to take, you can use exactly the same approach to overcome the challenges.
And you're dividing the session into four broad areas, just looking at the website: the big picture, preparing your brain to learn, the learning process, and the exam process. Obviously, anyone to gain the benefit and to understand how you can then go about applying these things for the long term should attend. But give us, if you can, a taster of each of those areas.
Yeah, so the 4 areas that we've broken the session down into will be discussed in isolation, but obviously they all connect together. So the first thing that we address is really thinking about the goal, the end goal of what you want to achieve, and maybe even further past that. So being very clear about the big picture understanding of what do I want to get at the end of this journey, but also what does the journey look like to get there, and using some simple and practical strategies around improving motivation, around managing and building confidence, especially in the areas that might be in exams that you're not particularly confident on, that you don't particularly like, giving people some simple and practical strategies to understand that, and giving some people some skills that they can use on a daily basis that do allow people to be more efficient and effective. So that's the big picture. Once we've helped people to understand the big picture, we then think about getting your brain ready to learn. So this is the idea that we can be sat at the desk, we can be sat in our office with our revision material out in front of us, but if our brain isn't in the correct state, we can't really take any new information on board. We can't get it into the prefrontal cortex and store it in our long-term memory. So we talk about the importance of sleep, diet, and exercise within that, the neurobiology behind where our brain needs to be in order for us to actually learn something that's new. Once we have dealt with getting your brain ready to learn, we then actually think about the explicit learning process. So actually, how do we take the information from the page of a textbook or from a YouTube clip or from our teacher and get it into our brain in a way that we can then retrieve it in an exam? Learning new information versus learning information which is helpful in an exam, they're different ideas. You can learn a lot about geography, but it can be absolutely useless in the geography exam. And we understand more about learning than ever. And if you actually understand how learning takes place, you're in a much better position to do it efficiently and effectively. And then finally, once we've dealt with the learning process, we then help people to understand how they can get better at thinking clearly during the exam. The things that we do in the hours before exams are very important to how we perform in the exam. The way that we deal with the stress of not understanding maybe a question or not being able to recall the answer to a question that we think we know, can be dealt with if we understand the processes that lie behind it. So we're going to go through those 4 sections: the big picture, getting your brain ready to learn, the learning process, and thinking clearly during the exam, and give people some simple and practical ideas. And sometimes people go, I know that, yeah, but I don't do it. And there's a huge difference between knowing something and actually doing it, and doing it in a simple and practical way that has a positive impact on your performance. And we're able to distill that in ways that people aren't in just thinking about it from a common sense perspective.
And I would say to you, Andrew, I think it's fair to say, is it not, that if people are saying to themselves, well, that sounds pretty straightforward, you've seen the power and effectiveness of this in its application in various classrooms across the country?
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen pupils at all ranges in terms of their current attainment. Parents, teachers as well look at this, and the penny drops. And I think the way that it's delineated into those 4 sections is really powerful. It allows people to think, well, where can I improve? It makes it the exam process less intimidating and a challenge that's manageable, that's doable. It's really exciting to see young people rejuvenated by that sense that they can set about this challenge of examinations and apply the Tougher Minds principles where they most need them.
And worth mentioning and emphasising, John, also that again, what you've talked about, that 4-stage breakdown of improving exam success, that's applicable regardless of age, and will be just as beneficial for a trainee accountant, say, sitting a professional exam, or somebody in law school.
Yeah, the neurobiological challenges of exams are not different whether you're an adult or a child, and the simple and practical strategies that you can use to overcome those challenges are the same. Any very young people who come to this session, they're going to get a set of skills that they can use for life, but equally, and what we find is very powerful in the Tougher Minds programme is that these become family skills. Families start to understand how to collectively deal with exam success, and actually dad can tell his children the strategies that he's successfully used to manage exams, and not only can he tell them what he does, he can tell them why they work from a brain science perspective. Parents tell me, and this is very, very powerful. If we want our families to be, healthy, happy, and high performing, these insights are so important. So yeah, I think that's a very exciting thing that we've got at Tougher Minds, is we've got this very transferable set of skills that can help anybody. And in the exam context, it's no different. Whether you're professional who's taking exams, or whether you're trying to get into the senior school of the first choice senior school, then and anyone in between, these skills are completely relevant. They're not going away.
That was Tougher Minds founder and managing director John Finn talking about the applicability and universal nature of the skills that will be taught by himself and the Tougher Minds head of education Andrew Foster at the Improve Exam Success event at the UCL Institute of Education on Thursday, April the 21st. Don't forget, tickets are still available. They're priced just £49 per person, and you can get your tickets from the Tougher Minds website, tougherminds.co.uk. Also, teachers and schools, please don't forget there's a special offer for you as well, a 10% discount for school groups and a free teacher ticket. Again, more details on the Tougher Minds website. That's tougherminds.co.uk. Thanks for listening, and stand by for the final podcast coming soon.
Thanks for listening to the Habit Mechanic podcast. If you liked it, please subscribe and tell someone else about one of the ideas or insights that you found most interesting.